Welcome to Metal Wani and Metal Nation Radio. I am your host, Vitek, and with us today we have the legendary Fernando Ribeiro of Moonspell. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. Legendary. That's a nice touch to start the interview. Yeah, I'm doing great, and my best greetings to all the crowd that is listening to us right now at
Fantastic.
this moment.
Amazing. The reason why I mentioned legendary is looking at the amazing discography of Moonspell. So that's amazing. That's amazing. And for me as a fan, makes me feel and be proud of the band, and that's why the name legendary.
Yeah, it's been quite a few years. I mean, I never kind of felt like the all the time that has passed, but when I look back at it, it's we already on our 23rd anniversary as a band. So yeah,
Right.
it's more than half of my life.
Absolutely. Now, new album Extinct will be releasing on March 15th by Napalm. So you got to tell me, how excited and nervous are you feeling for this album?
Well, not nervous, I have to say. I mean, we've released more albums, throughout the past, and we know very well it's always a gamble with Moonspell. It's not like a consensual band, and everybody will feel, a different emotion about the record. But we are very confident about Extinct. I think it's a great return to form with a very original, powerful, and also very beautiful record because it's more melodic
Hmm.
than our last record. So I feel excited. It's a lot of work. It's a challenge for us. After these many years coming from Portugal, to still make people listen to our music and what we have to say. So the stakes are always very high
Right.
for Moonspell. But I think with Extinct we worked hard and we were definitely very inspired. Not only with the songwriting, but also with the performance on studio. So we're very, very proud of this album, of the story behind it, or everything we have done so far for Extinct. And I hope that we can, translate this message into the fans in the live shows, and also when the album finally comes out in March.
Absolutely. Now, I can safely describe this album. And I mean, I had a chance of listening to it in its entirety, and I can't stop listening to it. I don't know how many number of times I've heard, but I have to tell you this. This album is powerful, visceral, and has that larger than life sound. Yet you guys maintain that surprising experimentation, which has been executed flawlessly. So I have to give you that.
Well, it's always the plan is no is to embrace novelty because for a band such as us, people
Hmm.
have to go back in time and remind that we were created in an atmosphere of pure experimentation, pure
Right.
avant-garde. Like the late 80s, the early 90s, and then up to 95, 96 when we came up with Wolf Art and Religious. Everybody was experimenting, and the crowds were really into experiments. That kind of faded away for a while. But
Hmm.
I also believe that people also got bored with the same metal and gothic metal formulas. And I think Extinct it's definitely an alternative to that because it has this novelty sound. As you say, it's an album with it's a dark album, but it seems like it has a positive vibe as
Right.
well because it's definitely the ambiguity that Moonspell works. I don't believe that a band can only work the dark side and everybody is like banging his head to the wall
Right.
um,
Right.
all day long. But there's moments like this, and there's moments where you feel like you have to go on. And our music kind of expresses that emotion. And I think for the day, it's like a lot of people are talking about fantasy and fiction, and I love it myself. But it's a very real album, and I think it's a very natural sounding album with a great flow
Mhm.
of songs. And when it comes down to anything else, I think music makes the difference. And I think the
Absolutely.
investment of Moonspell was totally musical, and to create this great piece that people can enjoy, and that as it happened to you, and I hope it happens to a lot more fans,
Mhm.
that people keep returning to the album. It's not just, oh, okay, I listened to it, that's it. No, it's an album to discover, definitely.
Awesome. Now, you guys have never been known as a traditional metal band. I mean, there's no doubt that you have always maintained a metal element in your sound, but that's not been your sole influence. I mean, over the course of 20 years, when I listen to your music, and even now with Extinct, you guys have dabbed with a lot of music like rock, goth, electronics, industrial. And I mean, you have maintained that integrating the various levels of metal. So when I listen to Extinct, it kind of tells me that you guys are like, trying to explore even more the wider musical spectrum. Is that right?
We always keen on doing that, definitely. I mean, of course, we have our roots and our influences, and those basic influences are already, bands that have experimented themselves, like Bathory and Celtic Frost. They have many different records until they kind of find a sound or experimenting with other sounds. But we always liked also known metal stuff like Sisters of Mercy, Fields of the Nephilim, dark stuff, mystical stuff, and gothic stuff. And we just, in a way, tap that into our music as well. And it kind of felt natural to us always to, kind of bounce between these two elements.
Different elements.
Yeah, I think even our last string of albums, like from Memorial through Night Eternal up to Alpha Noir, we're really into experimenting more heavy music together with our whatever signature of dark metal and of course that was great for a while, but right now we are really interested in again crafting songs that can have a lot of atmospheres without losing sight, without being all over the place. That's what we tried also with Extinct. It's probably to have less layers but to have more happening, to have more exuberant arrangements, to go to other sources that are probably not so used. And of course that's built of a lot of experiences, but also built from questioning yourself, like getting out of your comfort zone. In a way, we could do an album like heavier and people will say, well, that's the Logic continuation, and probably people will like it. But for us, the continuation doesn't have a logic. We don't know it. Nobody knows it. Really, not in the way that we approach music. It's not that we have to compose an album to go on a tour or to go to do a concept thing. No, we just write the music and then we deal with the rest that's coming afterwards.
Absolutely. Now, when I, basically listen to the various kind of music that's coming in the market right now, and we as fans get stagnated with the same kind of vibe throughout. But you guys have maintained that eternal feeling that, you never stagnate, you never settle down. And every album is actually different from the other without, being pressurized to create one type of a sound. And you always come up with that opus in your discography. So is it more like a challenge for you to make sure that you don't repeat what you have done in the past, or it just comes naturally from you?
I think it does come naturally because, many times, especially, by the fan pressure, people will want us to have this ability of repeating ourselves. Everybody wanted a second Wolfart, everybody wanted a second Irreligious, and so forth. But we never really thought about it as something that we have to do. I think Moonspell sound and music, and we always saw it like this since the beginning. Then we started. We always, had the perspective of it of a work in progress, not something closed, and not something that we already achieved with a wolf art or Irreligious, but something that we'll know that will go in different ways as well, while maintaining, the characteristic sound of Moonspell. So we really never do consider anything than our gut feeling and what shows up.
Absolutely. So, do you feel, you as a band leader, do you feel annoyed when you hear every time a fan says that we want Wolfart 2? Does it kind of, irritate you that, okay, we guys are exploring our musical spectrum, but your fans are still stuck in the past?
Well, some of them aren't, and why just concentrating the ones that are stuck in the past? I understand that. I mean, I want many albums from the past to have a part two,
Hmm.
but I mean, I'm 40, and I know exactly that it wasn't just about the albums; it was about the time
Right.
that people had, or the age that people had. That even for the younger fans that weren't even alive when Wolf Art was done, it's like they miss out. They think they miss out something, so they want those times back. But what they don't understand is that bands aren't able to do so.
Right.
This whole retro thing, it's something really, really complicated because, I think you should look at the past as a kind of incentive for the future and for the present. And we look at our past, it was hard work as well. So there is a certain sense of pride on our past, especially
Absolutely.
coming from Portugal, and don't really want to mess around. It's like not we are playing, turning our backs to the future and to the present. The new albums are always, much more a part of our life, daily life. And that's what counts in a way.
True.
And the other ones are just, documents of other lives that we had at the time, and some of them have endured the test of time, some of them have not, and I think that's there's always a place for that. So I just to say, I am never annoyed because that never stopped me of doing something. It's just another way of seeing Moonspell. And
Right.
sometimes, I see other guys and other bands saying, "Oh no, I'm totally annoyed. I don't want you to speak about our early days." I
Hmm.
think that's in a way stupid because they still, even if they're saying your shit right now, there was a time in their life they liked you, and you
Right.
have to respect that, and you have to respect that they don't like you right now. Hey, music is a game, that we all play, and for
Play.
me, it's
Hmm.
quite simple. Like you like it, you don't like it. Sometimes people don't move on, and that's a problem. But only a problem if you get stuck into those opinions, and we never did got stuck into those opinions. I
Past.
mean, we play Wolf Art shows these days. Wolf Art is 20, so we played a couple of shows,
Hmm.
20 years old, and we played all of it, and it's still well played, and it still has this spirit. But we know very well it's just a traveling time. It's just
Right.
that 1 hour and a half an hour memories, nothing else.
Absolutely true. Now, when I look at the concept, I mean, like Alpha Noir and Omega White had that sort of a concept double album vibe, which really changed the way, fans looked at Moonspell because you guys moved towards that streamlined black metal sound with your growls being even more amazing on that album. Now, with this album, you've taken a different route and you're still exploring. So, do you think that, I mean, with all these concepts you're exploring, fans get to, let's say, understand something new coming from Moonspells?
Well, that really depends on the fan's expectation, and it's impossible and it's not good for a band to try and read through each one's minds,
Hmm.
and all your fans' minds. So I think there's always a question of confidence.
Right.
Being a fan is putting trust into the band. Being a fan, it's not like ordering a pizza. I want more mushrooms, I want less tuna. It's not really like this. And I hate the fans that are so selfish,
Hmm.
that they want to program a band. That's not being a fan. I always advise these fans to make a band themselves, while they can, probably, if they have the talent for that, probably explore what they think is wrong with some of their favorite bands.
Hmm.
um, and there's always room for one more in music. But having that said, we never really like took a big part on these war and these expectations and what
Hmm.
people like. We respect our fans, and our way of respecting our fans, and people know if they follow Moonspell for many years, it's not to minimize their intelligence. We're not going to write something simple about pirates or Vikings or whatever,
Hmm.
just because we think that's what the crowd will understand. Sometimes I think it's way different. Sometimes I find people that are starving for concept and that they connect more to the bands that go a little bit deep and a little bit more out of the ordinary
Right.
right now. And I think that's where lays our crowd. It's impossible to satisfy everyone, especially if you change, you know.
Absolutely.
But I think most of our fans are created to our own image, you know, of restless fans that listen to a lot of stuff, you know,
Indeed.
that have their favorite bands and like gothic more, some like metal more. And with Moonspell, it seems like they gather for a band, which is quite a cool thing
Absolutely.
to happen with some fans, you know.
Indeed, that's really awesome. Now, talking about your vocals, I mean, your deep, dark vocals has actually been a face of the band sound on each and every album. Now, on this album, I really find it pretty much balanced how you have maintained your majestic cleans and then you mix them with your guttural growls. So, with what mindset did you know, enter the studio, keeping your vocals in mind?
Well, I think this was the album I worked the most and the hardest for the vocals. I think it was very, very important, and so did the other guys, for the vocals in Moonspell to evolve. You
Mhm.
know, because they were following into a formula. Even though there was a lot of diversity, I thought there was a lot more territory to exploit, especially when with my clean vocals. I
Uh-huh.
mean, the mindset is like any album with any set of lyrics that I have done for the albums. I always
Right.
go to the studio, you know, trying to express myself the best. You know, trying to paint the colors of those lines that I wrote the best, and then that's
Right.
why that many times, you know, I use dual vocal to try to also to create this contrast that comes from the words and from the moods. But this
Mhm.
was a totally different work. I decided I wanted to sing more. I wanted to sing a little bit higher, you know. So I had really to work hard, because the approach had to change, especially on studio. I used to sing with a lot of input. Nowadays, I had to sing a little bit softer to get more on the notes. And Jens Bogren, our producer, was amazing with the vocals. We were always in the you know, on the master room before doing any vocals on the day, just practicing and going through the lyrics and going through all the details and through the accent, which was something I wanted to improve a little bit more without losing my, you know, characteristic of
Awesome.
not being a native English speaking person. So there was a lot of work involved, and there was a lot of things and atmosphere and more personal feelings also to get out. So I think, I mean, I'm very happy with what happened with the vocals on this album and on the studio, because I find it as a true progress, and that definitely also changed a little bit the sound of the band. And I think that when you work hard, I mean, I wasn't born a singer, and I mean,
I
sometimes
understand.
I've, you know, it's just something I start doing. So I'm not like a real talented person to get into the notes and everything, but I worked hard, you know, and I did all the best with the words that I could do to adapt myself and also to progress, because all the other Moonspell musicians, you know, they are progressive. Ricardo did an incredible guitar work on the album, so we want to also to pair with them to have, you know, a strong band with all elements are strong, and there's not this you know, great music but the vocals suck, you know, situation.
Right, right. Totally understand. Now, you know, Jens has always been considered as a very jovial yet strict producer with the number of takes he actually takes. So, how is it working with Jens on this? I mean, with all the bands I speak to, and you know, Jens being a producer and a mixer, it's always great to hear different stories about him. So, you know, how different? What actually did he bring to the table, which, you know, with your previous collaboration with Stu Madsen?
Well, I think Stu Madsen, great guy as well, great producer, but always served as more as like a sound engineer work. You know, he did the mix. He didn't get involved really into the songs. And for Extinct, we definitely were looking for someone a little bit more you know, up close and personal. And you know, I checked with some friends on other bands like
Mhm.
Eamon Martin, Creator, that I've worked with
Oh,
in
Jens,
Lithuania,
right.
that have worked with Jens, and they always told me he had a really strong personality. you know. And also that time he was being a lot more selective with what the stuff he did, because he did a lot of stuff on some styles, on some style more death metal like. So when I approached him, when I wrote him, and when I sent him the demos, he totally fell in love with the music of Extinct, which was a great way
Right.
to to break the ice and to and to start working together. So everything was really quick. He came to Portugal, and we realized that he was really ruthless with the work. There was no days off, there was no time off. He wanted the whole band there. I think that was quite incredible, because actually my mindset was totally in tune with Jens, the band's mindset, because we wanted someone that could criticize us, could pull us further, in a way, someone that loved the music but was not like in any way personally related into the band, or someone that we actually never worked before. That was something we were really keen into doing. And when we moved back to Sweden to record the album, we were there for 35 days, all the band, like really old school recordings. I mean, Jens, besides David Castillo as well, that was worked in the album as well, besides them being great professionals, because we knew that from the other albums, they really loved the music and the different spirit of having Portuguese in the studio with us, going around with our natural chaos, Southern European chaos. So everything contributed to a great result. And Jens, besides that, he had a really good human factor and creative factor into the music, giving us confidence when it was needed, choosing on the crossroads. I think it was definitely very, very, very important, and he did exactly what I was thinking, that he would do. He surprised me with a lot of stuff, but I really wanted him, to do this crystal clear, powerful sound that could enhance our music and our melodic side without sounding like a Swedish death machine. Right. I think he did a great job. I think he did a perfect production.
Awesome indeed, Fernando. Now, what are the plans of taking this material live? Because when I listen to it, I feel that it's gonna make a huge impact when it's played live. So, what are the touring plans? Any upcoming tours coming across Europe or America?
We go on the road, on the road to extinction, as we call it. Right. That's the name of the tour. So we have teamed up with our Greek brother Septic Flash for a first leg of a European tour that is starting off on the 12th of March. It'll be all around Europe, like Holland, Portugal, Spain, Italy, Central Europe, Germany as well. We have a UK date as well in London. Then we get back home, just back again, because we're going to play Mexico together with Septic Flash as well. And then we go on a North American tour, coast to coast, including Canadian dates that will for sure start in Texas around the 25th of April, and that will go all around the States and then Canada, with the date on the 24th of April in Mexico, together with Septic Flash and Death Stars. And then we start, the summer festival season, but we're already booking. So for the second part of the year, we're already booking a second leg of an European tour that will see us go a little bit further east in Europe and up to Russia and China, and also Latin America. So that's the plans for 2015. Probably will be not enough time. Yeah, there'll be not enough time to do so, but we'll try our best, definitely.
Absolutely, Fernando. Now, before I conclude the interview, how about you define Extinct in just one sentence?
Survival.
Wow. Now, I was kind of, anticipating a conceptualized answer, but I didn't expect a one word, and this word actually makes an impact.
All right. It was what came to my mind.
Fantastic, Fernando. It was an honor having a chat with you. I wish you all the best with all the future endeavors you do. I look forward to see you guys in London. I'll be there, so it'll be my first time to see you guys live, so I'm super stoked.
All right. It will be a great night.